Welcome to the Unlock Your Journey podcast by Fakra, where we shine a light on the incredible achievements and success stories of Africans around the world who are excelling in various industries, businesses, and professions. Join us as we dive deep into engaging conversations with entrepreneurs, professionals, and thought leaders who are making a significant impact in their respective fields. From innovative startups to established businesses, from groundbreaking research to artistic endeavors, we explore the diverse talents and perspectives of Africans across the globe. Hear firsthand accounts of their journeys, challenges overcome, and lessons learned along the way.
All right. Hello. Welcome everyone to the Unlock Your Journey podcast by Fakra. And we have a very fine gentleman here with us this afternoon called Musa Kanneh. So just a quick introduction on who Musa is and a little bit on his background. So Musa is currently a software engineer at Goldman Sachs in the London office. So Musa covers a growing expertise in full stack software development with an interest in seeking cutting-edge engineering solutions to optimize strategies, automate processes, and promote team success. Musa graduated with a Bachelor of Science Honors First Class focused in computer science from the African Leadership University in Kigali, Rwanda, where he completed over 5 on-site and virtual internships and part-time positions in the engineering space across Tanzania, London, Rwanda, Zambia, respectively. So Musa is originally from Liberia, which is located in West Africa. When Musa is not working, he's working. When Musa is not working, he's obviously working out. I see the gym gurus here. And then Musa also enjoys playing soccer, cycling, and then also boxing. So it looks like he's a fitness man, so to speak. So that's a little bit background on our guest Musa. And so I got to know Musa, I think back in 2021, obviously being a software engineer at Goldman Sachs myself in the New York office. I've gotten the opportunity to work with Musa for, I think, 2 years now. And it has been really an exciting journey with him. Musa is really a hardworking person. And I've been really sort of like, encouraged sometimes by sort of like the dedication that, he puts towards the projects that he's given. So this podcast will be primarily to learn a little bit about who Musa is and then basically his career path so far, and then even to Goldman Sachs. So we'll jump right into it. So Musa, thank you once again for coming to Fakra Unlock Your Journey podcast. Actually, you are also the first guest, so just 1 minute or 30 seconds. How does it feel being the first guest on the Unlock Your Journey Fakra podcast?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you, Albert, for extending this invitation. Being the first guest, I would say it's kind of scary because, it gives you, it's kind of scary in a way that, it puts you in a position where you set the bar as to how the rest of the conversations will go, maybe with other people, because then they'll watch previous videos, be like, oh, okay, if you set the bar too hard, then they'll work towards that. But if it is too low, then they'll just, So I think it's good. It's an honor. I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to how, this conversation will go.
Amazing. All right, let's get right into unlocking the journey. So Musa, obviously, introducing you, we realized that, you were a Liberian-born person. So we just want to know a little bit about, your early life, right? How being born in Liberia was like for you, a bit about your family life, and then sort of like the dynamics that shaped your early life. You can incorporate in there like your early schooling experience. So basically middle school and high school, and then let's begin with that, like early life, and then how family shaped your life, and then being born in Liberia. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I, like you said, I was born in Liberia. Mm-hmm. So Liberia is on the west coast of Africa, right? So we have neighboring countries like Guinea, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone. So as as some of you might be aware, Liberia went through like 14 years of civil war. Mm-hmm. So part of my journey, growing up in Liberia, we had to take some time, go to Guinea because of the civil war. So I grew up, did some of my growing up in Guinea, and then from there we came back to Liberia. But I come from a family of a very sort of extended family because, like the culture that I grew up in, or the family setting, it's kind of large, right? So we have mother's family, father's family, and then from where I come from, which is considered the whole congregation as family. So we have the immediate family, but then we have the extended family, and then it makes up a very big one. But what I really like about, the whole culture there, especially with the family setting, is that you get to come up a certain way, right? So, like for example, regardless of whether you have money or not, you are instilled within you discipline, right? So they sort of put you to the discipline test. They make you work harder, at least to be able to fend for yourself at an early stage, and also just having respect for everyone. You're just treating everyone with the utmost respect you can. So these small values, I got to get them very early when I was growing up in Liberia, and also um, we have part of the family members in the city because we have like 15 counties in Liberia. So I'm from one of the counties, so it's called Lofa, right? So there we have, the extended part of the extended family in Lofa, and so as part of growing up as well in Liberia, like I had to spend some time with them, the the elderly version of the extended family, to be able to sort of now get to practice this culture of hard work, go to the farm, come home, try to just the basic upbringing of a typical African sort of parents. So we got to experience these things at an early age. And as part of that, I, did some schooling in Lofa. I also did some in Monrovia. So Monrovia is the capital, but then I did most of my time in the capital. Right? And so there I went to a school, so a high school. But before the high school, there's we have stages of, at least of the schooling process, right? So we have the elementary to junior high to senior high, and then so I did the entire elementary in an elementary school, a school that was just sort of the higher level was an elementary, and then from there I went to a high school called the Muslim Congress High School, where we just got to sort of understand the basic sort of courses, right? Like sciences, because I was more into the sciences, coming up. So I was into physics, chemistry, biology, and the way I got to sort of enjoy these things right in high school was through this game called quizzing. Right? Okay. So quizzing is an academic competition where you have like 4 people, and then these 4 people we compete against each other. So we used to do it based on schools, right? And then I took the sciences. So the sciences, if you're the science player, you get to study biology, chemistry, physics, so that when they ask questions in this field, you get to answer them. So you're like the point person. Yeah, so I got involved into these sort of activities in high school, and then I think not knowingly, right, these activities sort of gave me that engineering taste. But up to then, I didn't know what I wanted to do career-wise, right? But based on these activities, I think you can maybe keep in mind where everything started, right? As we go through, this conversation, that you get to trace back to, where everything started, essentially.
Beautiful, amazing. So looks like you had an interesting ride basically up until high school, and then so let's talk about the transition from obviously like your early life, high school, to college and then university, right? Basically, how was the transition like for you from high school to university, and then what influenced sort of like the university that you wanted to go to? Let's talk a little bit about the transition, from early life to college and university.
Yeah, so the transition process was pretty rough, right? Because so in Liberia, the accepted norm or the wider practice, approach by most of the young folks is when you're finishing high school, you sort of get involved into student politics. So student politics, these are like it's like the thing, right, in Liberia where you go, you critiques, certain politicians, active politicians in the country. And then you go to university. So we have the University of Liberia, which is now free, but it's because of now that it's free, it's very hard to enter into because of the huge amount of populations. And then we have other private universities that are very expensive. So coming from a background, a financially challenged background, so the roughness there was that the University of Liberia wasn't offering a course of my liking, right? And then private universities were very expensive. So then that now gives me just one option, right? What are you going to do? Like, you're just going to look for online sort of opportunities to be able to do uni. So that transitional process took me up to I think 6 months, right? I just looked for different universities online, see if I could sort of pursue this opportunity on a full-time scholarship basis. And then luckily for me, in 2017, I came across the African Leadership University in Rwanda. Yeah, and then I just sent an application there, and I was able to get in on a full scholarship, and yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so so we've discussed a little bit about like the transition into like college life, and then so at what point during the college days did you establish, oh, okay, I want to actually go into this career path, and then basically what was sort of like that decision like, because usually it is in college that we decide that, oh, I want to become this, I want to become that, right? So like what was sort of like the process like for you, sort of like determining like exactly what you want your career path to look like, and then what are some of the factors that helped you in determining that?
Okay. Yeah, so the first so if I get your question correctly, the what was it like determining the career, and what are some of the factors that I put into play, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so determining, first of all, I didn't know what I want to do, right?
Okay.
I just all I needed was, oh, I need to go to uni and I need to get a degree. But then one of the determining factor there was that like I said previously, I had a background in the sciences, so math, physics. So I definitely knew that I was going to do something in that field, right? So when I went to college, and interestingly, the African Leadership University, they have a 1-year program for all sort of new sort of admitted students, right? So then you spend 1 year just doing courses that are totally unrelated to your intended course. So we do leadership core courses, entrepreneurship, communication, working with data and making decisions, managing projects. So we get to do these 4 courses for the whole year. So I think the rationale behind that is to, just give you the awareness, right? That basic leadership awareness of how to go about with things, how to manage projects, how to communicate with people effectively, how to be a self-leader, right? So after, that 1 year of going through the program, I got to like connect with people now of different discipline and different background from different nationalities. And that's where I started to establish some strong connections of some, friends that we up to now is different. And the way that happened is because the university is quite diverse. So they have people from Nigeria up to like 40 plus nationalities in the school, if not more. Yeah. So I got to now connect with people. And the way most of these classes went, or these programs, across these courses, it's like they have growth week. So growth week is like people of certain skills. We put a hand up, say, oh, I want to maybe organize this course, or I want to organize this workshop, and then teach something that I know, right, to my fellow students. And so one of these courses turned out to be, a web design course, a web design sort of workshop that I signed up for during one of the script weeks in the first year. And then I was very surprised when I went there. I, a colleague of mine, like, I didn't know him, right? And then he was designing a website, like in a workshop, like using HTML and CSS. So he literally just read the code, see the result, and it was like magic to me. I'm like, what is going on here? So that's when I'm like, oh, okay, I definitely know what I'm going to be doing now. And then after the workshop, immediately I just went to him. I'm like, man, you got to teach me this thing. I don't know it. I have no idea what's going on, but you have to teach me this thing. So, and then he's one of my closest friends today. So
and one thing I even add to that is like it takes actually humility to sort of like want to actually let someone to teach you something you don't know, because sometimes like we might think that, oh, we actually want to learn it by ourselves. So sometimes I also know that it's okay to ask for help, because what it might take you yourself to do, like when you seek help, like exponential results within the shortest amount of time. So definitely that's definitely great. So leading up to sort of like the processes that define your career journey and career path. So we know, like currently you are a software engineer at Goldman Sachs. So how did you come about your current role? Like how did you learn about like the job, and then how was sort of like the interview process? Like I know my audience would like to know about that.
So the way I got to know about the different roles and that led to this current one was through now the cycle that I sort of created, I got involved with on campus, right? So like some people can be very ambitious, and one of the interesting things about the uni there is that people came with sort of defined mindset of what they wanted to do. So there are people who were literally in different universities that just came there, and so they knew what they wanted to do. They were already practicing it, and then some of them were already applying to companies like Google, Facebook, all these big tech companies. But then that's the cycle that I found myself within, right? Not knowing what to do. But then what that taught me was, just give me a sense of what is possible and what is not, right? So, with these exercises and these activities that, happen over the time, I saw, these guys now applying to these big companies. And then I also started to look through them, like search the internet and see how they're doing it, what they're doing, how they're practicing, what they're practicing, that. And then that led to me discovering Goldman Sachs, right? And then that happened after during the pandemic now, when we were in, I think, the third year of uni.
Mm-hmm.
That's like fast forward to the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
And then I discovered Goldman Sachs, and then we were in lockdown, and I just used that whole time to, just go in, look for these opportunities, apply to them, prepare, and then, yeah, that's how I.
Great. Amazing. So, we've discussed a little bit about, your early life. We've discussed a little bit about college and uni life. We've discussed a little bit about your current role and the path that took you there, right? Obviously, there is no victory without a challenge, right? And so, we would like to also know about some of the challenges that you faced along the journey to where you are currently, and then sort of like the pivotal moments or the turning points in your life, and how did you stay motivated during these challenges, and then also if there are any regrets during this journey, and also if there is anything at all that you would do differently. So talk to us about that.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So obviously, like most of these activities definitely come with a lot of challenges. But one of the ones that I wanted to talk about was getting started, right, with all of these different things. And it is no secret that the whole engineering career, like software engineering in general, is a hard nut to crack right from the beginning. There are a lot of moving pieces. So sometimes if you just jump into it without the proper guidance or the right direction, you just do some things that you might end up maybe not doing, or maybe focusing on the wrong thing within the field. So I think that was one of the challenges for me, essentially, right? When I started with no coding background, no programming background, getting that initial head start of what to focus on, what to do, so that was a bit of a challenge for me, right? And I think that's something that mentorship would have played a huge part in. Yeah, and then the other one was, just sticking through this, different practice sessions or the different courses. Because I did computer science, right? So, obviously, like you get some problems that is really hard, and you just give up, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't have a strong reason to do, you just give up. You're like, what, that's it. Yeah, but like the way, some of the ways that you overcome these things is now you try to like grow some, you try to just develop some sense of expectation for yourself, right? To say, oh, what do I want at the end of the day in this thing, right? It's not just about studying computer science. It's about what do I want to do with this, this skill that I'm going to get from studying this. And so once that, it might not be totally defined for you, but once it is there, if the going gets really tough, and you can be able to rely on that, like, oh yeah, definitely. Or you look at people who have passed that route, right? Like the program that you guys are doing now, say, oh, okay, actually it's going to get tough. So something like, if you're going to the field, that it's going to happen. And you'll be like, okay, if that person can pass through it, then this is an indication that it's going to happen, Yeah.
Excellent. So basically, you set a picture before yourself on how the future looks like, which will keep you motivated that, oh, this is the vision, this is what I'm trying to achieve. And then that vision in your mind will eventually, help you overcome those challenges and then those problems that you face. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think when you were mentioned, talking about the challenges, you brought in mentorship somewhere. What would you say mentorship has played in your career so far, in your career journey so far? And like, do you have any mentors that have significantly impacted you? And then also, have you also had the opportunity to mentor any person?
That's a good question. So mentorship definitely is the highlight of my journey up to now, right? And the funny thing is, the mentor that I got, right, up to this point, that I'm really, really sort of, I've learned a lot from, is not in the tech space. Yeah. So they're not in the tech space. So they are, they are researchers, right? They're into the research space, into the environmental space. But the way we got to connect was on campus. So they came on campus as a resident. So, the school has this program where they bring an expert for certain, courses based on, specific programs. So that person came in as an expert in residence, and then we got to connect. And then we had a meeting, and then, they needed a website, like, always, like they needed a website to be able to host their work, right? Publish their work, And then, but then I was hungry. I was hungry. I wanted to just learn stuff, do stuff. And then I went to them like, you know what, I'm going to do this for you for free. Like, just tell me what you need. I'll build your website. You don't have to pay me, right? And then I just, went over in, build a website, publish it for them, and then that's where we started to establish a connection. Right? So they left, and then they came back. While they left, they came back, but then we were in touch. So I think one of my internships the last internship before the Goldman Sachs internship, it was actually through them that I got it here in London, in the middle of the pandemic, where in companies are resending offers and all that. The person held my hand like, oh, this internship, I work here, it's good that you can come in. And then the internship was actually a project that I also proposed to her that, oh, this could be something that will help with your work, right? Within this department, within the discipline, that you can, just use to automate some of the processes that you're doing. And then we turned into an internship with the University of Sheffield. So mentorship has been, has been the highlight of my career, right? And that is something that I would urge everyone to really seek, if you can seek early. As in mentoring someone, I've done so indirectly. I've not, I wouldn't, say a lot about that because I haven't really done it a lot. But then I've provide indirect mentorship, like someone is maybe supposed to prepare for the interview or they need maybe advice on certain things. But then this is something that, I'm definitely sort of intentional about paying forward, right? Like doing more. And one of the ways that I think about doing it is, I think we will probably hit that point at some point, but, there are a lot of different challenges, especially with the African communities, right? In accessing some of these spaces or making use of some of these spaces when they come there. They need, they probably need direction, they need how to navigate these things. So this is something that I'm looking into, seeing how we can be able to offer, services in this space that, will not just benefit people that are in the space, but people who want to come there. Right?
Amazing. Interesting story that Musa is sharing with us. So obviously you tagged a little bit on about some of the ways that you plan to sort of like help with this mentorship aspect. So we can jump right into it and then discuss a little bit about the future, right? Because the future is something that is definitely going to come. It's all part of time, right? So let's talk a little bit about how the future looks like. Is there anything that you are looking to achieve, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years? And it's also engaging in the development of the African continent in general, also a part of plans. Talk to us a little bit about your future aspirations.
Yeah, that's a big question. That's something that I also think about every day, right? Like what does the future hold in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? But one thing that is definitely certain is that I want to keep tab of the trends of technology, the different tools that we're using to solve the day-to-day activities in the industry, right, outside of the industry. I definitely want to keep tab of these technologies and also make sure that we can also extend the different approaches of how we're keeping tab of them across, not just for ourselves now, but people who also want to go there. Because one of the things I realize is that people that want to do computer science now, they are kind of panicking because of all of the different involvement of AI and like the trends in technologies and how it's sort of surfacing in, right, for current engineering position. So I want to like keep that on that space and make sure that people that are coming at least now, or the people that are aspiring to do something similar in the software engineering space specifically, they can have the right mentorship, they can have the right guardians, right? They can have the tools set that will set them up for success, right? I know that's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to be a 1 day, 2 day thing. This is something that I'm sort of involved into. And then I'm also like in contact with colleagues that have already passed through this route to be able to make, something of the joint so that we all can share collectively, especially with the African settings. And then from there we can extend. So this is something I've been doing. And also, one of the things that you might not know, right, is that I'm also interested in conservation. So environmental conservation is something that I also, as I sort of I've been involved into for quite a bit. And I wanted to see if we can also do something in that space within the next, 5 to 10 years. But then it'll be leaning towards the digital aspect of things, right? How do we digitize some of these things? Right? How do we get, the local communities that are involved into these different conservation activities that have, they are facing the challenge, like real time, right? Like the poaching thing, the human wildlife conflict thing. These are things that, we need digitize, right? To make sure that we get stakeholders and decision makers aware of some of these things. And how do we map out, these different transboundary conservation places, across international borders? So these are things that I'm thinking about, and as we navigate space. Yeah.
Interesting. Looks like Musa has a lot of big plans for Africa. So Africa, all I can tell you is look out, watch out for Musa. Great. So obviously it looks like you discussing what the future is looking like. Looks like you have a lot of big plans for Africa, as I was saying. That means Africa means a lot to you, right? So can you just share to us, personally, what does Africa mean, being African means to you? And then how has that influenced your journey so far?
Yeah, actually that's interesting. So being African, to me is it means empowerment to me, right?
Okay.
And I will explain why. It means empowerment with subset. So being an African in a setting that is, predominantly non-African, or at least that contains diversity, indicates a unique perspective that everyone brings to the table. And what that means is it gives you some responsibility to say, oh, you're into these spaces, to empower this, sense of Africanness, or that background, that culture that you bring. Now you have the responsibility to be able to exercise it very well, right? And so then, if you are given the responsibility to exercise it now, then you also sort of call upon to make sure you're not just the only one exercising that, right? So being an African to me is about being in power, and also but then with the responsibility to make sure that power that you have, or that empowerment that you receive, can be spread across not just you, but other Africans as well. And I think that's one of the ways that we can be able to make better of some of the situations, some of the challenges that we have in the continent currently. And I think the African Leadership University is a good indication of what that means, right? Because coming from Liberia or going to the African Leadership University, being empowered with the knowledge and expertise to be able to make a change, not just for me, but beyond me, in foreign spaces, is an example of what empowerment means right there in that case. And so how do we now make sure the African leadership is doing it, right? Other institutions are doing it, but then individually, how do we make sure we take on the responsibility to be able to do it as well? Yeah. So
great. Prideful African. Amazing. So what advice, because obviously there are people listening who are going to be listening to this podcast that would want to take any advice that you might want to give. So what advice would you give to others who aspire to work a similar path to yours? Because as a software engineer at Goldman Sachs, that's a big deal in itself. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to work a similar path to yours?
Yeah, so what I would say is, just first of all, have an open mind, right? Be very open-minded, and be willing to be teachable, at least. Because if you recall from my my aha moment of, I want to be a software engineer, was because I saw someone doing it, and then I went to them, I'm like, you gotta teach me this thing, I don't know it, right? Or show me the ropes. So having that open mindset of things, right? And then being teachable, right? And also being humble in the process, at least from the early stage of when you're trying to figure out how to do things, or what to do. And then if you have a mentor, great, right? It's just something that you should consider, right? If you're coming into spaces like these, or you're trying to explore your own path, just having an open mindset and being teachable, and really, really work hard as well, because that's the baseline of everything. So if you have these two things with this great attitude, I think it's going to take you really far. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, there you have it, audience. So in this podcast, we're able to discuss a little bit on the early background of our guest, Musa, basically how it transitioned from early life to sort of high school to university, and how, in university he was able to sort of find his career path and then journey to Goldman Sachs, some of the challenges that Musa faced along the way. And then, the role of mentorship in Musa's life, talked a little bit about it. And obviously, his future aspirations. Musa also touched a bit on what it means being African to him, and then sort of like how it has influenced his journey. So Musa, thank you very much for joining us and then even making up time to come to Unlock Your Journey podcast by Fakra. It was really great, getting to know a bit about you and then sort of like your journey. So viewers, I will encourage all our viewers to subscribe, listen to this podcast, subscribe, leave reviews, obviously, because we want to know your thoughts on this interview. And then also stay connected, because Fakra is bringing our viewers and our audience whole other podcasts like this. So viewers, stay tuned, and then we'll catch you up again on the next podcast. So for now, it's a goodbye from Fakra Unlock Your Journey podcast, and we'll speak to you again soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Go to the Google Play Store or the App Store and download the Fakra app.